Hey, what is up, everyone? So today is a pretty sad day for any fans of Xbox because today Microsoft decided to lay off over 9,000 employees, and a lot of those layoffs were affecting the games division, Xbox basically, and all Xbox's studios. Now, the reason that I'm talking about this in this video is because one of the biggest layoffs that we saw today was with Rare, the developers of Sea of Thieves, and also they were developing another game called Everwild. Everwild has been officially canceled by Xbox, and a lot of the people that were working on it have been laid off. Presumably, they haven't really said who at Rare has been laid off, except we do have one person that I'll talk about a little later in the video who is officially leaving Rare. But honestly, Everwild was one of the few projects that Microsoft was working on that I was actually pretty excited about. The first time I remember seeing it was back in 2020 when they showed off a trailer at the Xbox Game Showcase, and it seemed interesting. I mostly was interested because it was Rare making it, and as a big Sea of Thieves fan and a fan of past Rare developed games, I was excited to see what their next big project would be. With that being said, though, I kind of understand why Everwild was canceled. Looking a little bit more into the game's development, it was announced officially almost 6 years ago, and it's been in development for the last 10 years. So, on the one hand, I'm really sad that this game got canceled. On the other hand, I kind of understand why you'd cancel a game that has had so many problems moving forward. Apparently, reports are saying from behind the scenes that the game has been rebooted multiple times, so basically they started from scratch over and over again. Kind of a similar situation to, if you remember, Skull and Bones a few years ago, where that game was announced like even before Sea of Thieves, or it might have been around the same time Sea of Thieves was announced, and that game just kept going through different reboots of changing what that game was going to be at the end. So it's really sad, but one of the things I wanted to talk about with this video is because Rare is seeing layoffs along with a lot of the different studios at Microsoft, will this affect Sea of Thieves? I can't really see how this wouldn't affect Sea of Thieves. Now, there is a potential that maybe the cancellation of Everwild, they might have laid off some of the developers, but then maybe moved some of the developers back into Sea of Thieves to refocus on that. There's always potential for that, but I don't think, just based off all the stuff we're seeing with the Microsoft layoffs, that that's going to be true. If you look at other studios like Turn 10 Studios, who makes all like the different Forza games and stuff, which all of those have basically been really big successes. Everything that they release has basically been gold. They got hit with a 50% layoff where half their staff is now gone. So, Sea of Thieves, on the other hand, we've already talked about, even just in the video yesterday, talking about how Sea of Thieves has not really been doing so great, especially with the updates that they've been focusing on stuff. I think part of that may have been due to Everwild. Maybe they took developers from Sea of Thieves and moved them over to Everwild to try to get that project moving and progressing a little bit better, and it just didn't work out. So there is a potential that maybe Sea of Thieves just stays in its current state with the current developers that it has, but we really don't know anything for right now. A lot of the stuff is up in the air. I think it's a pretty sad situation. I just wanted to hop in a video and basically let all of you know about what's going on, because maybe some of you are only interested in Sea of Thieves stuff and maybe have missed all of the stuff going on here. Now, I did mention that there was one person that we know for sure is leaving Rare, and this one I think is a big sign of really bad things happening over at the studio. So, Greg Mayles, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right, but you've probably seen references to his name within Sea of Thieves. There's different things that are kind of like a play on his name and stuff. But he was the director of other games such as Banjo and Kazooie, Donkey Kong Country, and he was a creative director on Sea of Thieves. He's been with the company for over 35 years, and as of today, he's leaving Rare. Rare is also losing one of their executive producers, Lucy O'Connor, and she's leaving the studio. So it's pretty bad for what's going on there. I think they're losing a lot of big talent from the studio, which there's no way that's going to be a good sign for Sea of Thieves and its future. I was already concerned about Sea of Thieves' future just based off what we've seen for what's coming out with Season 17, but also just the last several years have been somewhat more lackluster updates to the game. There's been some good stuff that's been added. I like a lot of the stuff that we've gotten, over the past few years in terms of like some of like the new weapons, like throwing daggers and that kind of stuff. But in terms of like new, really exciting things added to the game, we haven't really had that for the last several years. And I think a lot of that has to do with studio troubles, bad management of the studio, and I think some of the problems that were affecting Everwild have seeped into other areas of the studio, including Sea of Thieves. So that covers everything that's going on today that we know about so far with the layoffs at Rare. I'll leave some links in the description for some of the articles if you want to read a little bit more in depth about, these different topics. But that's all I have for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all of this stuff going on. And if you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, it would be great if you hit the like and subscribe. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.